Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2025-26 Bushfire Season Preparedness Briefing. On behalf of South East Region, welcome, Deputy Chief Officer Trevor Owen. Firstly, I'll acknowledge the traditional owners of lands in which we are gathered today, the Bunurong, Wurundjeri, Gurno people, the traditional owners of the lands of which we are all gathered here this evening. And I pay my respects to their elders past and present. Just want to acknowledge tonight we've got group management team, group management teams across the region that are online. We've also got brigade captains. We've got our South East Region Leaders Group. We've got our executive sponsors, Paul Ramage, General Manager for Governance, Legal and Risk Services, and Sam Costanzo, the Chief Financial Officer. We've also got our region and district management teams, our South East Regional Advisory Council members. Welcome all. And I know there's many out there at stations as well interested in this briefing. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. We have conducted these briefings for several years now, and we've received great feedback that they assist in setting the scene for the approaching bushfire season, and they certainly signal the need for us to get prepared. The season is designed, this session is designed, should I say, to be concise. It's based on evidence and fact with key messages about the forthcoming bushfire season ahead. More detailed and specific local information will follow with district and group briefings over coming weeks. So I will say, as leaders, we have the responsibility to ensure that we are fully prepared for anything. And I'm always reminded by a terrific quote reinforcing the importance, and it goes along the lines of great leaders don't wait for the storm, they prepare for it. And readiness is about the foundation of resilience, and those who lead with foresight inspire confidence in every challenge. We know that the weather and the dry conditions we don't often have control over in any capacity, but what we do have control over is our state of preparedness and readiness in the coming fourth fire season. So being ready is critically important. So we need to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So it's therefore critical that tonight's information is shared with you. It's incredibly valuable. Now, I'm also joined by Jonathan Pollock, the Senior Climatologist for the Bureau of Meteorology, Sarah Harris from our Fire Risk and Research and Community Preparedness team, Don Wilkie, Commander on behalf of the Operational Response and Coordination team, and Jude Kennedy, Manager of Community Safety, will also be presenting here tonight. All right, just a few housekeeping issues. Just want to acknowledge the last minute addition to the agenda with the community engagement update. As a result, it will go 10 or 15 minutes over for those who can hang on, so it will go a little bit longer than the hour that we have forecast. I want to advise that the sessions will be recorded for the benefit of others, and we will share this presentation in coming days. Given the number of members online tonight, we've turned the video off, the voice and the chat functions to ensure that there's a continuous stream and that we hopefully don't end up with too many glitches. All right. In sharing tonight's agenda, the seasonal weather forecast, we'll go through the outlook, we'll go through the bushfire and grass fire, looking at the fuel loadings and some of the risk across our region. We'll get an aviation update. We'll also look at the South East Region intent and key messages. We'll also look at the Bushfire Season Readiness Forum that's coming up for the groups and command staff, district briefing dates, and we'll also talk about the Get Ready Fire update. And then we'll close out the night. Now, again, we may run a little bit over just owing to the importance of a last minute agenda being the Get Ready Fire campaign, which I know many of you are involved with. All right, I'm now welcome Jonathan to do the next of the briefings, which is the weather briefing. Again, welcome to you, Jonathan. You've been with us for several years now, and I know that we get really good feedback that you provide us in regards to what the season forecast is ahead. So it's across to you. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, Trevor. Good evening, everybody. Next slide, please. Next slide again. So tonight I'm here to chat to you about the weather that we had across winter and what we can expect going into spring and into summer. Next slide, please. So looking back on winter, these are decile maps. They compare this winter with all previous winters back to the year 1900 for rainfall and back to the year 1910 for temperatures. And you can see that rainfall map there on the left. There's a lot of white shading across the state. So fairly average or pretty typical rainfall for most parts. And that's been a bit of an improvement on what we've seen on recent seasons. But there was still some areas of below average to the east of Melbourne for parts of West Gippsland. The maximum temperature map in the centre, you can see most of the state had above average temperatures, very much above average for parts of the south and centre. Minimum temperatures, however, were cooler than average across parts of the north and for West Gippsland, pretty typical for most of the rest of the state, and even a bit warmer for East Gippsland. Next slide, please. Now, this is just looking back at August, and you can see August was drier than average for a lot of the south and parts of the north, and covering a lot of the southeast region. Warmer than average for most of the state. And again, minimum temperatures a bit cooler than average for parts, close to average for others, and warmer than usual for East Gippsland. Next slide, please. Now, these maps are slightly different. These are our rainfall deficiency maps. They really highlight the areas that have had particularly low rainfall. And there's two periods. The one on the left is the year to date, January through to the end of August. And you can see there's rainfall deficiencies to the east of Melbourne for parts of West Gippsland, even some areas of lowest on record. But the map on the right's got a lot more colour in it. That's looking at the most recent 19 months commencing in February last year, when we really sort of saw that dry sort of switch on. And you can see there's large areas of the state's west and south with that dark red shading, so lowest on record there for any sort of 19-month period from February to the following year's August. Next slide, please. Now, the maps on here are more recent snapshots, and this is looking at soil moisture. On the left-hand side, we've got what we call the root zone. It's from the surface down to a 1 metre depth. And you can see that's, there's bits of orange there around Melbourne and for parts of the southeast region. So looking at below average to very much below average soil moisture, but, closer to average for parts of East Gippsland. But that map on the right is the deeper layer soil moisture. That's from around 1 metre to 6 metres depth. And that more clearly sort of shows the fingerprints of the drought. There you can see away from central and East Gippsland, most of the state's got below average to very much below average deep layer soil moisture, even some pockets of lowest on record. Next slide, please. Now, looking at water storages. So that map on the left, each of the circles on that map is a water storage or a dam. The size of the circle corresponds to the capacity of the dam, and the colour corresponds to how full the storage is. So you can see for parts of the southeast region, we've got a mixture of sort of blue and green dots. So where storages are sort of, at or near capacity. But then sort of in central parts of the state and in the west, you can see it's more mixed, where we've got more of those light brown and darker brown circles. Looking at Melbourne's water storage, still looking at a pretty healthy, roughly 73% full. However, it's down about 17% on the same time last year. And that's really testament to those dry conditions that we've seen, just not sort of getting the inflow to some of those storages that we typically would during the cool season. Next slide, please. Now we've got the actual long-range forecasts. First on this slide for the whole month of October. Rainfall on the left, you can see for across Victoria, it's a pretty white or grey shaded map. So not a lot of guidance there, no strong push towards above or below average rainfall. And it's not a forecast for near average rainfall, it's a forecast with a fair amount of uncertainty in it. We should be sort of planning for below average, near average or above average. Maximum temperatures, likely to be warmer than average. Minimum temperatures, a bit more of a signal in that map on the right, likely to have warmer than usual minimums too. Next slide, please. Now for November, you can see that rainfall map has changed a little bit. There's a bit more of a wet signal there now. We've got some of that green shading, but mostly it's for parts of the north, and you can also see the East Gippsland. For other parts of the south, again, there's not sort of a strong push either way. Maximum temperatures likely to be warmer than usual, with high chances for parts of the south, and minimum temperatures that map on the right. You can see really emphatic high chances of warmer than usual minimum temperatures across the state. Next slide, please. So now we're looking at the 3-month outlooks, and this is for October to December. And you can see there's a stronger wet signal in that 3-month outlook there. But again, it's mostly, that the higher chances of parts of northern Victoria. There's still some, moderate chance for parts of East Gippsland. But for parts of the south, it's that light green shading. It's really only sort of slightly increased chances of having above average rainfall for some of those areas. But looking at maximum temperatures, pretty high chances they'll be warmer than usual for parts of the south, and minimum temperatures, high chances right across the state. Next slide, please. And now this is looking at November through to January next year. And similar rainfall map again, where we've got sort of, there is a wet signal there, but for some parts of the south, it's really only a slightly increased chance. It's definitely not a guarantee that we're going to see above average rainfall. But the more confidence in those temperature maps, high chances of above average maximums and minimums for much of the state. Next slide, thank you. So we just saw those chance of above or below average maps, but we can also slice the forecast up into different ways. Now we're looking at the chance of having unusually high temperatures. And by unusually high here, we mean in the warmest 20% of the historical range. And that map on the left is for maximum temperatures. You can see there's some increased chance compared to the normal likelihood. Parts, to the east of Melbourne, parts of West Gippsland in that 50 to 60% chance range. But there's even a stronger signal for minimum temperatures, that map on the right. You can see most of the southeast region in that 60 to 70% chance range, and even some pockets of 70 to 80%. So it's likely that we will see minimum temperatures that are unusually warm. Thank you. Next slide. Now, looking at forecasts for daily average wind speed, and we've got a map for October on the left, November in the middle, and December on the right. And the areas of blue that you can see for parts of eastern Victoria and southern Victoria at times, they correspond with a tendency towards weaker than usual wind speeds. So you can see there's some indication there for parts of the state across the 3 outlook periods that we're likely to have weaker than usual winds, but there's also plenty of areas of white there on the map for Victoria where there's not a strong shift either way. Next slide, please. Now, I'm pretty certain most of you will have seen the AFAC seasonal bushfire outlook for spring. It identified large parts of the west, south and southwest as having increased risk of bushfire. And if you think back to those rainfall deficiency maps at the beginning of the presentation, you'll see there's pretty good alignment between that area with the increased risk of fire and that area with those longer term rainfall deficiencies since February last year. Next slide, please. So to summarise, there's no strong push towards above or below average rainfall across Victoria for October. There is a wet signal in the October to December outlook, although it's only slightly increased chances for parts of the south, higher chances for parts of the northeast, and sort of moderate chances for parts of East Gippsland. But what we do have more confidence in is the temperature outlook, and we're likely to have warmer than average temperatures for most of the state during October to December and November to January. Thanks very much. Happy to take any questions if we've got time now. Otherwise, I'm happy to take questions to my email address anytime after the meeting too. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. You're always a welcomed guest in this forum and provide an excellent briefing. Jonathan's contact details are there, so please reach out. You do see Jonathan like we did last week, Jonathan, at the regional briefing here in Dandenong. And again, you're out and about, but again, please reach out to Jonathan if you've got any specific questions you wish to raise. There's Jonathan's contact details there, his email address for you all to use if you need to. And on behalf of the group here, Jonathan, appreciate your work and thank you for your briefing and making yourself available tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks, Trevor.
Thanks again. Thanks, Jonathan. All right, we'll now move on the agenda. We've seen a good briefing there from Jonathan in regards to the weather, and we'll now move into the fire risk and behaviour component. And I'll welcome Sarah Harris. Sarah is looking after Again, the department that's the Fire Risk and Research and Community Preparedness team in headquarters, which will give some insights and observations into the fuel perspective around Victoria and also parts of the state, including South East Region, particularly for South East Region, I should say, the fuel loads, the risk areas, the environmental factors and considerations, and a bit of an overview of the fire behaviour tools that are available. It's across to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Thanks for having me again. I'm dialing in from District 8, but I grew up in District 9, so really pleased to present to this group. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm really going to build on what Jonathan already presented, but just adding that context. Starting with the landscape dryness, and Jonathan explained some of these plots going into this, so that makes my job easier. That we've got that down at the bottom left, that real lowest on record 18-month rainfall deficits that we've seen in some of the areas in the west of the state, but that's also extending into central areas and south and west Gippsland down there in the bottom left. That also shows up in the soil moisture root zone that Jonathan also showed, but really highlights that lowest on record area there that's in the southeast region. So really concerning there. As Jonathan mentioned, we had an average June and July rainfall across a lot of the state, but then below average rainfall in August for most regions. And that really starts to show up in these, sort of what that's showing is there's really two sort of I guess, two sides of the story for the Southeast region. If you look at these plots on the right, on the top one is I've just pulled out a couple of areas. I've got District 8 on the top and District 11 on the bottom. And District 8, the black line, is showing you how we're tracking since the start of the year, how we're tracking in comparison to other years. And then it stitches on the outlook of rainfall that we're receiving from the Bureau. So you can sort of see it's not looking great for District 8 with how much rainfall we've had. And that outlook is really going to, even if we get all that rainfall, we're going to sort of struggle to get even into sort of that average area. But if you look for District 11, you can see we've had above average rain. We're in sort of that above average area, and we're likely to stay there given that outlook. So that's sort of showing you that we've got parts of the state where we've got good landscape dryness, good moisture, but in other areas we may not get enough rain to alleviate those dry conditions. Next slide, please. In terms of the fuel condition and state for grass, the curing rate is really variable, which is pretty common for this time of the year. We've sort of got below to average for Victoria for this time of the year. And you can see this is the actual curing map, satellite derived. We haven't turned curing observations on yet. We haven't started that network from the observers. So you can see where we're sort of how we're looking, and this is just satellite derived. A thing to point out there is this satellite derived map might be hiding what we call a green drought. So we might have green shoots above, but it might be quite dry below, so it could still carry fire. So that's really highlighting again that importance of entering and validating curing observations when we turn that network on. We've got a great plot here down in the bottom left, and we'll start to share these this season that shows you how we're tracking compared to other years, but also where we're sitting at this time of year and when we might reach curing levels, which would help the spread of fires. In terms of grass fuel loads and structure, we're sort of sitting at that above average for areas that have experienced increased rainfall, so that's no surprise, but below average for many parts of the southeast region because of that lack of rainfall. And you can see that in that bottom left, we're using the Aussie grass output there for pasture growth. In terms of outlooks, it's really difficult. It depends how that rainfall and that outlook pans out. If we had above average rainfall, we had good cloud cover, and even some of those warm conditions that Jonathan mentioned, we could have sort of that below average curing rate, but it really does depend on when and where that rainfall falls and whether we have cloud cover or we have those sunny days. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Not sure if we're coming. I can keep talking to it. Are you there, Trevor? I can keep talking. I'm just not sure if you've got me. Anyone got me there? I can. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, Sarah. Just bear with us for a moment. We've had a bit of an internet connection issue here in Dandenong that's been playing up just prior to, and it looks like it's just playing out now.
I can share my screen if you want me to keep going with this.
If you don't mind, Sarah, and we'll try and get the magic working up again behind the scenes.
No
Apologies,
problem.
everyone. There's been a bit of an internet connection issue. Dandenong at the moment.
Okay.
Thanks,
These
Sarah.
things happen. I was prepared. So the next slide was looking at the forest fuel condition and state. So we've really had good underlying moisture and fuel growth in the forested areas of East Gippsland. This plot here, I'm hoping now you can see my mouse because I have control. We've had a lot of rainfall over the last 4 years. This is showing the last 4 years, and it's sort of above average. So we've got good growth, good build-up of fuel in those areas, but also that gives us that underlying moisture, whereas that's the contrast with the sort of West and South Gippsland. I mean, that's over the last 4 years and just over the last 3 months of that underlying dryness in the West and South Gippsland and central areas. So in terms of the forest fuel outlook, those heavier fuels will remain moister for longer, that particularly for East Gippsland. But in areas affected by the drying, we've really got to be aware of that increased stress on the trees, leading to greater leaf drop, an increase in percentage dead material in the near surface and elevated fuels. In terms of bringing that sort of together, a general summary and highlighting the outlook that Jonathan also displayed. Without significant rainfall, we're expecting, this is looking at the whole of Victoria, the west, the southwest and central areas of Victoria, as well as South and West Gippsland, have an increased fire potential, most likely in late spring. For South East Region specific, we're looking at above average fire potential conditions for South East Region for spring, with the exception of East Gippsland. But landscape conditions will continue to be monitored by the predictive services team as we sort of head into summer. Some other key messages for us, just to touch on AFDRS, and just to be aware, you'll see some communication coming out about these things, but we've got the fire weather district review. So we're looking at how appropriate that these fire weather districts are for the fire weather that occur in these areas by grouping and by LGAs. And so this shows you in the black lines where those fire weather districts are currently. But if we look at this just in terms of the data and drive it through the data and the similarities between the fire weather, it actually comes up with a different pattern. So we're exploring, do we add some more fire weather districts and what's a better representation? So we don't call, say, a total fire ban on a day, but it's not appropriate for that whole fire weather district, just trying to reduce some of those differences. Other things to note is we've got a change to the Bureau's weather forecast times coming. They're going to increase to 4 times a day. That's for the general weather out products that you'll see on sort of from the Bureau, but that won't change our fire danger ratings in any way. We've got a reordering of the fire weather districts and LGA on the Bureau registered users page, so that's something to be aware of. I think at the top was either Wimmera or Mallee, and now it'll be in alphabetical order. Fire danger products, I've got a slide on this next, but really using Tarnook as the key source for that. And just being aware that there's a lot of work still underway within CFA on evaluating and improving the AFDRS models and input data. They don't always get it right. They were very new. There's still a bit of work to do, and we're trying to continually improve those so they're giving us the best ratings and how we communicate to the communities. Here are those those products from that are hosted on Tarnook. So we presented this slide last year. They're the same products. They're up and running and being supported 24/7. You can access that comparison products between our FDI, our old system, and our new system, and also look at them. Also look at the FDI values and the FBI and compare and continue to train your brains in these new products. And then just finally, just being aware of the F-band capability and capacity, tapping into that F-band capability at the state level, and then also consider positioning F-bands regionally when appropriate. We will have the ratings starting and then embedded MET rostered from the 1st of October. And just being aware that while there is a lot of this where we sit in rooms looking at lots of maps and speaking at the state control centre level, there is a lot of work that when we're out in the field at the regions and incidents, collecting data and supporting incidents in other ways, and trying to, I guess, do that continual improvement on our input data assumptions, modelling and operations. And I should have put my email address there, but Trevor can track me down and pass those details on if you've got any questions. Thank you. Hopefully the other slideshow works. Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you so much for jumping in, Sarah. We seem to have got the internet. We're working off hotspots, but we're going, so that's the main thing. But I appreciate you jumping in to save the day there, and it's been a great presentation. We will put your contact details towards the end, just so, again, anybody that wants to reach out for a bit more information, Sarah's contact details will also provide. Again, on behalf of the group here tonight, Sarah, thank you very much for your good work. And your presentation. That gives us a good setting of what we can expect in this region and across the state for this bushfire season. So thank you again.
Thanks.
All right. Now, hopefully, Don, we're up and running for you. It's across to you, Don Wilkie, Commander, for the aircraft briefing. Don's going to cover the general season update for aircraft. Is going to also discuss the RPAS capability, therefore RPAS, you'll get to know what that acronym is, what it can do, what we can do to use it, and what we can't do with it. It's outside the scope and the process for brigades that are requiring of this new technology, RPAS. It's across to you, Don.
All right, thank you, Trevor. Just checking you can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can, thank you.
Perfect, no worries. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the invite. Yep, we'll go to the next slide, please. So just a quick update from last year's seasonal review from last year to this year. So you can see this last season's been fairly busy for us. We've been probably double what we did the season before, 20,500 drops, most of them probably over the Grampians way, and a little bit down in District 9. So the aviation component last year across the state was fairly busy, even though we only had a couple of major fires. Go to the next slide, please. And that's just a total overview of our flying hours from DECA, CFA and others. So you can see that 5,000 flights, nearly 4,000 hours, nearly 2,500 hours of air attack supervision last year, made it a busy year. Probably with the seasonal outlook for this year, we might be in a similar position to last year, which will lead us into our state fleet for the year. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Our state fleet this year, again, we're going to have very similar to last year, 54 contracted aircraft. So there's an overview of some of the aircraft there. We've got the air cranes coming back again. We've got the night fire program. We've still got the Q400s, the LATs, the large air tankers based out of Avalon. So for brigades and districts, it's almost similar to last year, is the positioning of the aircraft across the state. And one of the notable things is the 6 reconnaissance aircraft that we've got on contract this year. They're based at nominated locations, but they're available to move around the state. So if people need air observing platforms because you're getting heightened preparedness days, make the call early, and we're quite happy to move aircraft around the state to suit the requirements of districts and regions. Next slide, please. One of the big things we've rolled out this year, which has been an initiative between CFA and DECA, is an aviation simulation trailer, which is augmented reality. So our air attacks, air observers, DECA staff, we've got a full simulation trailer that we're transporting across the state to provide additional training and reduce some of the costs in aviation training. And it's working really, really well. So that's one of the new things that's been in the last couple of years that John Catt implemented back in the COVID days. And we've gone from a small trailer with some TV screens now to goggles that you can put on, and you are literally in an aircraft flying. So that's a wonderful opportunity that we've got for our people across Victoria. Next slide, please. As Trevor mentioned, RPAS, which is drones, remote piloted aircraft. So the Chief Officers approved a 12-month trial with the help of Trevor and a few brigades to see what we need for the future of CFA. So we've got a 12-month trial going to work out what we need moving forward, the number of pilots, number of drones. And this 12-month trial is, as got there on the screen, we've got Edith Vale, Rowville, and some people from CFA headquarters to run the trial to see our future for RPAS. Next slide, please. It's a bit of a commitment for our volunteers. They're enjoying it though. It's a 5-day CASA training course, and then they have to do CFA assessments. We've got surveys that we're doing for every job that we go through, so we can have a final report to go to the Chief Officer next year, so we can develop and capture data to see the future of RPAS and remote aircraft through CFA for the future for a further CFA rollout. Next slide, please. That's just a picture of 2 of the RPAS drones we've got. So one's called the Matrice 30 and the other one's the Mavic Pro. Next slide. What are we using them for so far? So we've used them, that's what we can use them for. So far we've used them for structure fires, we've used them for bushfires, fire investigation. We've had RPAS flying in buildings where it's been unsafe to put people in for our fire investigators. So we've put drones inside the building and got the video for them. We've had search and rescues. We've assisted police with search and rescue up at Olinda for missing persons. And the thermal capabilities for bushfires and hotspots has proven really, really good. And we've also had a number of training days and open days that we're going out to brigades, and I will provide Trevor with the RPAS email address for CFA if anybody wants to have some RPAS familiarisation at their brigade. We can come out and do that down the track, so I'll provide that to Trevor after we've had this presentation. Thank you. Next slide. This is just an example of the capabilities of the RPAS that can be used. This was an illegal fire in Diamond Creek several months ago. It was at night time. The one on the left is the Matrice 30T flying at night. On the right was the hotspot. So that assisted the brigades in to see how big the fire was, but also for the EPA and strategies to move forwards over the next several days on how that actually combat that fire. Thank you. Next slide. I think this one's got a video on it. If you click that, it might do, if our internet hotspot will run this, Trevor, it'll be nice. It's probably a little bit slow, but that's just that was a house fire which was up Romsey Way, where it was unsafe to go into the house for the fire investigators. So the RPAS crew went up there and took video footage to assist with the finding of the point of origin for the fire without putting our crews at risk, because they couldn't actually enter the building. It's a little bit jerky with our speed, so if you want to go to the next slide, that'd be fine. So the RPAS night operation, so we can run RPAS during the day and during the night. So the only restrictions on us at night is if it's raining, we can't fly at night. But if we've got factory fire or a grass fire, or even a hayshed fire at night, you need some thermal imaging on. Edith Vale MCV can come out with the RPAS, or Rowville Car can come out with the RPAS unit. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've got crews on scene and available with the ability to live stream the RPAS back to screens at the ICC or even the Rowville Car. But it's also got the ability, if we're at a hazmat, we can live stream video back to the scientific officer. So the scientific officer doesn't need to be on scene. We can get that information before we commit our crews into the incident about what we need to combat those incidents. Next slide, please. They also come nighttime. We've got spotlights and speakers. So we've got an external speaker. We can talk to people if they're stuck on a cliff, but night time to assist in searches, or again, hazmats, or anywhere where you need additional lighting at night. They come with lighting that can light up a large area. Next slide, thank you. Which just provides an area. So if we had a hazmat at night on the side of the highway, somewhere down near, somewhere down near Warragul, a truck rolled over with chemicals on it. We can put the RPAS up over the top. We can zoom in with a 200 times zoom to get your chemical information and the rest of it. But also we can provide lighting for the crews on scene that are trying to combat incidents at night. All right, thank you. Next slide. That's a bit of an overview so far of our RPAS program. So there's 23 pilots which are currently operational, 18 pilots down the bottom. We're just in the process of training those. We have a chief remote pilot for the RPAS program, which is John Cass at the current time, and 19 of those pilots are operational. So we can get people out to you if you need them. Next slide, please. The RPAS also provides for incidents, whether it's for the fire at the time or post-incident debriefs. We can do ortho-mosaic mapping, which basically means take a lot of photos, put them all together through a mapping program, and that will provide the hotspots to the incident controller for the fire to assist in combating them. And we can do those down to a GPS location to a couple of meters. So we can run over a fire, provide you a photo of a fire, show you the hotspots you've got left at the fires, and provide you exact locations where the crews then need to go into to put out those hotspots. Next slide, thank you. That's just another thermal overlay. So that's just an overlay that we can provide at a fire. Next one, thank you. Can be used to detect hotspots. So we can run it through a program that is, again, that Diamond Creek fire. So we had the illegal burn, where we can go back and run the drones over it for the incident controller, and they can determine what they want. So if an incident controller wants to have nothing over 30 degrees, we can set those into the parameters, and we can run the RPAS over those so that you're confident that you can leave a fire and everything is under a predetermined temperature without having people walking around the fire ground with ticks and falling in rabbit holes and all the rest of it. Next one, thank you. Currently, our response arrangements are up there. So districts 8, 9, 12, 13, 14. If you want RPAS for whether it's a structure fire or a grass fire, it's a request via FireCom that will page out the on-call RPAS unit, and they will attend. Outside of that, any other districts, it will go to the state duty officer, who will ring the RPAS coordinator, and then we'll have the conversation about responding CFA or the FRV RPAS units. Next slide, thank you. There's a couple of fact sheets available on the intranet. I might actually get those to you, Trevor, if that's okay, and we can put them out to the people here, and that just gives you an understanding of what it can be used for. Live streaming. We're actually going down to Arthur's Seat tomorrow for a multi-agency exercise for the rescue out of the gondolas and using the RPAS there. So I'll get that to Trevor, and he can get that information out to everybody that's on tonight. Thank you. And yep, that's it, unless you've got any questions there, Trevor, or anything else you'd like to know.
Thank you, Don. It was just to give a quick overview about what our capability is in the aviation setting, and certainly this new technology of drones the organisation is embracing, our sector is embracing, and just understanding how it can be deployed and what it can do. So it's been incredibly valuable. And if it's okay, Don will share your information as well. So just so that we've got any contact, reach out to Don, who can assist and support in any inquiries that you've got. The more we promote the aviation assets and the understanding of the use of this new technology is really, really important. So the more that we get the message out, the better. So thank you, Don. All right, we'll move into some key messages from myself. The first one starts off with the region intent. And the intent document is we've been using since 2019-20 bushfires. It's really designed to give focus for everyone so that we're, again, our mission and focusing on the main thing. So I expect that our staff will use this to ensure that only the critical BAU activities are done, and that some of the other activities that we would normally do throughout the year can be parked or paused whilst we focus on the main thing. And for our volunteers, it gives key information about what our expectation is and how we're going to run this summer and over the bushfire season. And for me, it starts with safety first. Everyone, and I mean everyone, comes home safe. The completion of our burnover drill and hazardous trees, the Chief Officer's mandatory requirements, we need to ensure that all our members are meeting that requirement, again, to ensure that the safety of not just us as individuals, but also our team. So my expectation is that leaders will ensure that people have the necessary skills and competencies that the Chief mandates in the burnover drill and the hazardous trees. Readiness of our communities, our members, our equipment, our systems and our processes. Now, I know that sounds a lot, but we have a responsibility to educate and prepare our communities and our brigades, including obviously our members, making sure that our equipment's ready to go and that we have our relevant systems and processes updated and ready for the bushfire season. Effective command and control arrangements at all levels, and I'm talking about right from the fireground right through to our coordination back through our command staff, into our district duty officers, into our DCCs, back into, where required, ICCs, and higher up into the regional control arrangements, RCCs as well. So it's absolutely paramount that we have effective command and control at all times on the fireground, and that if needed, we escalate and we bring in the appropriate qualified people to assist and support us in meeting that requirement. But communication, command and control, absolutely fundamental to what we do. Expectation of knowledge of key risks, including our capability and capacity. So my expectation of captains, groups, districts is that we understand what our capacity is at all times, and we understand what our capability is, and we report it that if we are deficient or we can't meet expectations in terms of that service delivery. Communication is key, but keeping connected, particularly on our capability and capacity, is incredibly important. Effective communication and situational awareness. It goes without saying that we must communicate. It's often those communication issues that lead to safety concerns, not to mention operational concerns if we're not communicating and we're not aware of our situation. So at all times, it's about monitoring, not just in the lead up on the day and then the day following. It's making sure that we're well connected and we're well focused on our current situation. The timing of community warnings, making sure that they're effective, they're done at the earliest opportunity, and if you do get a sense that that needs to escalate, then it's about going through the district duty officer, and if not, be back through an ICC if that's where it's being done. But we will make sure, but we need your advice in the field to, indicate what level of messaging you want to go out to inform the community, mindful of what happened with the Bushfire Royal Commission and the importance about warning community early. So again, my expectation is that it's timely, effective community warnings at all times. Act using your skills and experience. And when we refer to mission command, you have the experience, you have the skills. Back yourself. I will back you. My expectations is a command staff will back you, but it's important that you make good decisions. You have the experience and you have the skills. Make the decision and work with what you've got to deliver the outcome. Group officers and command staff are there to support and assist fireground leaders with command and control, not there to take over. They're there to support and help and assist. Therefore, from time to time, you do expect that they will arrive on scene, notifying you early if need be. And again, their role is to support and assist and help, not take over and control the event, but to be working beside you and supporting you to get the best outcome. And the last one for me is just do your best. I mean, that's all we can ask of you. You, again, have the skills, you have the experience. you're well trained, you have the equipment, and my expectation is, again, that you just do your best under trying circumstances, as we all will be this bushfire season, as we do for every bushfire season. That's all I ask for you. Do yourself your best and your team. The draft intent that you see off to your right, that's being finalised, and we hope to have that out in coming days once I've finished the final consultation piece, and then that'll act as an instrument that we will use throughout the summer and across the bushfire season. Thanks, Laura. Next slide. All right. The other matter that I wanted to discuss tonight was just to inform everyone so that we're all on the same page in regards to the 2025-26 Bushfire Season Readiness Forum, previously known as the Group Officers Forum. The objective, and you may have heard about this forum, is that we're bringing the group management teams together with our command staff. And the idea is to, again, bring people together in a collaborative environment to strengthen our collective capability in the command and control and the coordination of level 1 and level 2 emergencies. Mindful that level 3 works under a different arrangement and is reported through a level 3 incident control centre with a level 3 controller. But again, the organisation for many events that we respond to, they are at the level 1 and level 2 emergencies. We know that we need to better support, when requested, from the brigade, from the captain, from the incident controller on scene, to support fireground operations and that leadership. So the forum's actually being built around clarifying the roles of our command staff, clarifying the roles of where our groups will play a role to reinforce operational frameworks to support service delivery to our members on the fireground. Again, I stress it is not there to take over. So if you hear a rumour that that's what this is about, it's not there to do that. We know that we need to support the front line as best we can, work beside our incident controllers to get the best outcomes. When we know we've got developing fires and emergencies, we know that everything from the communications, from the decision-making, from the information and warnings and the operational decisions that need to be made, and the tasking requires a lot of our people. And in some areas, particularly where there's a lot of life and property risk, those decisions need to happen very quickly, and therefore trying to ramp up where we can to support the incident controller and work beside the incident controller is critically important. So the outcomes that we'll be looking for in this forum, again, for the group management teams to come together and our command staff with the Emergency Management Commissioner, with the Chief Officer, and with me as the Deputy, we'll be working through an appreciation of the operating posture and expectations for this bushfire season. It will be about, as I said earlier, about improving our role clarity and responsibilities. It will be about refreshing our tools, our systems and our processes and our knowledge there, and enhancing the understanding of our operational frameworks and doctrine. The ability to implement the principles operations is really, really critical. And we'll be doing and talking about how we plan to do that for this bushfire season. The applications of the chief officers and my intent, there'll be a clear appreciation of the expectations and the relationships between those two management groups and the field to make certain that, again, upon request and in support of the field and the fireground operations, where we can, as the command staff and as the groups, can support you better on those events that need that level of extra support. Noting that some of the groups and our command staff generally do that very well. It's just about looking at that and how our best practice can deliver the best results for all concerned. And understanding the transition processes between what will be an escalating event that could go from a level 1 to a level 2 to possibly a level 3 fairly quickly, and the dynamics and how we can make that happen as seamlessly and as smoothly as we possibly can. And we'll be applying and learning more about the mission command principles, which again is about that end state that we're looking for, and about giving the confidence to our people that making good decisions and moving through where we can to the important part of you delivering the best that you can, and we collectively getting the right outcomes that we're seeking. And part of that becomes freeing us up, enabling you under a mission command philosophy to get to that end point as best you practically can. And we'll be reinforcing that with our group leaders, our command staff, and no doubt everybody will get to hear about how we plan to apply that. There will be a CHOOT component to this forum as well. So we will be using the CHOOTs to, again, enact how we will operate throughout the bushfire season. Thanks, Laura. So there's a QR code there as well that you can use. So just encourage you to, for those who are the group management team and our command staff, to log through that readiness forum. So if you can please use that as the forum, the QR code, and register through that so that we can make the necessary arrangements logistically. Thanks, Laura. All right, moving into district briefing dates. So we've got, again, I'll just pause there for a moment to allow you to, within your own district, note the different district and group briefings that will be occurring over coming weeks. And again, that provides the more specific detail that's required, that will come out of the normal briefings that are delivered back through ACFOs, back through the commanders. Some are group-based, some are district-based, and we're allowing, obviously, each district, based on your local arrangements, to do those briefings. So the briefing that we're delivering tonight is a high-level briefing. It is different. The district briefings will be a lot localised. They'll be specific to the local district needs and tuned accordingly, as much as they'll have messages in there that are statewide messages on how we'll operate from incident management teams, strike teams, and everything else you would expect in the pre-summer briefing. So I just encourage you, for you and your members, to attend the district briefings as what's on the screen over coming weeks. They are critically important that you get to attend those briefings, because there's some key messages in there that are specific to those things that I just discussed. Thanks, Laura. All right. Now, I did have an add-on to the end, and this is a really important one, because we've overwhelmingly, many brigades have supported an initiative, the Get Fire Ready campaign. And I'll now hand over to Jude Kennedy to run through that campaign and provide an update. Thanks, Jude.
Thank you, Deputy. And I'm also joined by Community Engagement Coordinator Claire Carlton as well. Good evening, everyone. Next slide, thank you. Probably what's driving some of this is probably this. We'll just jump into some of the research and survey. Each year, the CFA undertakes a survey with community members, just to understand how they're prepared, what are they thinking about fire, do they have a plan? And look, these are probably some of the key things that come out of that survey. Just under 50% of households perceive there's a very large threat of bushfire to life and property. And then you can see 57% actually expect that a bushfire would impact on themselves or their family. And that's probably an interesting data. Most of the surveys, people that are called within the survey, are actually within high-risk areas. So there's probably a perception of risk there that is probably a bit low. Interesting that only 16% of those surveyed would immediately leave if they were threatened by fire. And that's quite interesting, because we've got this other 31%, the wait and seers. So they're going to wait for some form of information, or they're just going to assess the fire and the risk to themselves as the event's unfolding in front of them. So again, interesting numbers and numbers for concern. 80% of those surveyed agree that leaving is the best way of protecting their life. But again, but only 43% believe it's best for their property. So we're seeing this. A lot of people are saying, yep, it's the best thing to leave, but I'm going to wait and see. So, and there's some significant difference in those percentages. Again, only 15% of households have a written plan, yet we understand that 62% of those surveyed have some form of alternative plan. So that could be something, a narrative, or they've had a conversation, but a written plans usually can be practiced as well. And 80%, actually, this is a bit concerning when we actually say don't expect a personal warning. You may not get a warning, but 88% of those surveyed actually are expecting official warning. And another nice thing is that 93% of the community still see CFA as a trusted emergency service. So that's a big positive and thumbs up for us. So out of some of those statistics and insights, again, there's an initiative, and I'm just going to turn across to Claire. And next slide, please. So Claire will speak to the next couple of slides.
Awesome. Thanks, Jude. So the Get Fire Ready campaign that the team have been working on is a statewide initiative that's encouraging brigades to hold a community safety event during the month of October with a focus on building public awareness and preparedness, particularly in areas of high risk. So the campaign objectives are to raise public awareness for fire safety and preparedness, especially in high risk areas. So we're encouraging community action, encouraging people to create a fire plan, prepare their properties, and having people download the Vic Emergency app. Provide a platform for local engagement, and brigades can tailor their activities according to their risk profiles, and demonstrate CFA's commitment to community safety and readiness. So the key components, brigades have been encouraged to open their doors and host a Get Fire Ready event across October with a particular focus on the 4th and the 5th. Although any EOI that's registered during the month will be included in the campaign. And the event can be anything from a standard open day or a community barbecue. And we have some brigades that are holding PADS campaigns or delivering fire safety essentials sessions. All brigades that have completed their EOI and recorded their engagement numbers in ART after their event will receive $250 in funding to use as they wish. And then we have the team at HQ that are working behind the scenes on statewide promotion of the initiative through paid advertising, media and social media. So the next slide. So far, we've got 104 EOIs from the South East Region brigades. The EOI process remains open, so brigades can still register and receive the funding if they decide to run an event during October. But due to the print deadlines, they'll unfortunately miss out on any of the physical resources. But some of the resources for the campaign include branded Get Fire Ready calico bags. So we've got some newly designed campaign specific resources included. And these resources won't be dated. So any extra packs can be used by brigades for future events. Localized A0 maps will be printed on vinyl. And these will show any targeted properties in the area. And we'll have brigade assignment maps as well as whole suburb maps. Downloadable generic social media tiles with the Get Fire Ready messaging, which brigades can tailor. And we can also include any of our standard community safety publications as needed. So obviously it's going to be a pretty busy month, but I just wanted to thank all of the brigades that have registered for the event. We know you got so much on already, but appreciate your commitment to your local communities. And for any brigades that are interested in signing up, you can get in contact with your local KEC for more information. And that's it from me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Claire. And probably just in closing, look, we also other things that our community safety team are working on at the moment is hopefully the commencement of some treatments in regards to our fuel management program. So some burning and mechanical works are planned to be undertaken shortly, again, weather pending and availability. So please keep your ear to the ground for those resource requests to attend any planned burning. And again, our normal summer service delivery plan is still going on. So thank you to all those brigades that have registered for the Get Fire Ready campaign, but also acknowledging those brigades that have already done an open day or commenced their community engagement, and also those brigades that are planning still to do something in November and or December. Thank you very much for your efforts there. Again, we've got a terrific team of community engagement coordinators out there within the region, so please reach out to them if you need any support or help, because I know they're always willing to help out. And Deputy, if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover, or
Thanks very much, Jude. Again, good information there around the Get Fire Ready campaign. Thank you to all the support that the brigades are chipping in. If you need to reach out to the community safety team, I know Jude's team are working hard to support you in that campaign. Critically important. I'd have to say we've been overwhelmed by the support and the take up by brigades, which is a real indication that for many, you are well connected with your community, and we know that prevention and preparedness is the key to survival. It's not just the response component. So again, that Get Fire Ready campaign that Jude and his team and the bigger community safety team across the organisation are doing is critically important to community safety. So again, if you need to reach out to the team, please do so, because we want to make sure that's a really successful event. And I thank each and every one of you for those who have already committed to the event. I think it's a really important campaign and good work. Thanks, Jude.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Goodness, we've actually finished close to the time. So just a reminder to everyone that as we enter the bushfire season, can you please ensure that all your members have the 2 sets of wildfire PPC. So they should have minimum of the 2 sets of wild PPC. Everybody's entitled to 2 sets. So can I just reinforce that message that you're entitled to, and every member should have 2 sets of the wildfire PPC. And if they haven't, speak to your district through the commander, back through BASO commander, back into the ACFO, and we'll certainly organise that for you. So every member must have and should have 2 sets of operational member, that's active, that is, 2 sets of wildfire PPC. All right. Again, thank you to the presenters here tonight. I hope you've got a lot out of tonight's session. We have pretty much ended on time, and apologies for a couple of the glitches we might have had there, but we seem to be able to have made that up and connected back in on the run, which is pleasing. I want to thank Linda and Laura, who've worked tirelessly in the background to pull together tonight's information and work with each of the presenters so that we could come together with this presentation here tonight. And we will be, as I said, uploading this over coming days, and you will get the link. So if you wish to share it amongst those who haven't been involved and you found it valuable, then please share. The other thing I will remind you is that we're always interested in your feedback. So if you could send an email in, speak back through your BASO district commander, they'll inform us of what you've got out of tonight's presentation. If you found it valuable, please let us know one way or the other. We want to make sure that these are good for you and that they are delivering what your expectation is as well. So if you think things are missing, if you think it's good, then please provide us with that sort of feedback, because we want to know whether we're hitting the mark or not. Again, this signals the start of the bushfire season. We saw fire activity across parts of Victoria and certainly our region yesterday, and off the back of Jonathan's briefing, off the back of Sarah's briefing, you can expect that this bushfire season in those areas, particularly District 8 down along the Mornington Peninsula, all the way up into the Dandenongs, all the way down again to Bass Coast, South Gippsland, south of the Stresleckis, and the West and South Gippsland area in general are of a higher risk this bushfire season. A little bit of a change from where we were in 2019-20 in a geography sense when it was East Gippsland. It's the west part of the South East region that is incredibly dry. And as you saw in Jonathan and Sarah's work, some of the driest on record and some of now the driest in the state. So it's absolutely fundamental that we get prepared and that we are fully ready. I do expect there'll be some conversations occurring over the coming weeks about the introduction and the timing of the introduction for the fire danger period. Whilst it looks green out there in the paddocks in some cases, as you will well know, that in many cases it's just green on top and there's not a lot of soil moisture. Our VMOs are working, vegetation management officers are working to provide indicators about what that soil moisture content is on a regular basis. And we do appreciate your advice speaking back through your BASO commander, because that helps inform and provides us with good intel about what's occurring across the patch. You know your communities, you know the risk, you know whether this season is likely to be worse than the others because you're checking dams, you're checking the fuel conditions, you're seeing the level of growth, whether it's abundant or sparse, and it's just a green drought. All that information is valuable intel that helps us inform and make sure that we're focusing on where those risk areas are. So please keep the communication going. Thank you for your efforts, and we hope that we lead through a good bushfire season and everybody comes home safe. Again, thank you for joining us tonight, and enjoy the rest of your evening.